Speaking of polling office, I understand that from Jack, the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is a little bit closer than it was last election cycle, and that
Yes.
may have factored into him pulling papers at the very last minute. Although, did you pull papers or you were a write-in?
I am a write-in candidate.
Okay, Jack Mobley, you
Yeah.
are Republican?
Yes.
You're running against a Democrat
Yes, Adam Gray.
in Merced County and some of Stanislaus County, right?
It's if you go up 99 and to the west in Stan County, and maybe a third of downtown Modesto.
So
All in
on
Merced County.
on that absentee ballot, currently Adam Gray's name is just.
He's the only one on the ballot. And
So
then
do we have to write your name
at
in?
the bottom of the ballot, there's a line that says write-in candidate, and you
Okay.
just write in my name, Jack Mobley, Mobley, and circle the little
And there
circle,
you go.
and there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't run against you. So don't write my name in.
No.
But
But if I get one vote, then I will be on the November ballot, and I'll vote myself, so I'll be there.
okay, so you just have to get one vote.
Yep. Well, it's because the states.
What if another Republican gets one?
No,
vote?
no, he can't. I was the only qualified write-in candidate.
Oh, okay.
You have to go out and
Okay.
you have to get 40 valid signatures.
Okay.
Take them down to the election department. Raise your right hand. Get sworn in. Now I'm a valid write-in candidate. And I was the only one in Stanislaus and Merced counties that came forward and registered as a write-in candidate. So Adam's on the ballot. His name is printed there, and then mine is down the write-in candidate, Jack Mobley. Write that in, and because the state's top two vote-getter primaries, he'll get votes, and I'll get at least one vote, one write-in vote, and
Then off to the races
then
for
off to
November.
the races for November. Yeah.
Yeah, so why are you doing this again?
You know,
Because how many times have you run for office?
this will be the fourth time, so it's
Fourth.
like if
Fourth time's
if,
the charm?
If at first you don't succeed, try
Try.
again. A friend of mine was saying, Casey Steed, who does the radio show down Citizen Watch.
KYOS.
Yeah, he was saying.
Shout out for them.
Yeah, he was saying the other day. He says, "Well, the swallows are returning to Capistrano. It must be spring in California because they're coming back, and the Mobley campaign signs are coming out." So, but no, seriously, my intent was not to run. A lot of people think that this is some kind of crazy maneuvering on my part, but it's not. They had asked me, the leadership in Sacramento had asked me to run again, and I told them no. I said I got to work on my business. I've between opportunity costs in my business, money that I put in, there's a substantial amount of money that I've got invested in the last three runs, and they made decisions the last time to pull support and people at the last last couple of months and send them to somebody else. I understood it. I didn't like it, but I understood it, and I don't fault them for the decision they made. But when you look at the performances in the three races, when you look at the funds that my opponents were able to raise and the money that I was able to raise, and I got a few dollars from the state and from other electeds, and but when you look at the disparity in the dollars and then the results, given the registration, I did real well. So this time, in looking at it, and talking to Connie Conway, the assembly leader, minority leader in Sacramento, and Jim Brolte and some others, and there is a difference in the environment this time, a difference in people's perception of what's going on and what needs to happen in this state. And for 30 years, for decades, this state has been ruled by Democrats. We've had a couple of Republican governors in the last little bit, but they had an R after their name. But the majority influence, every other statewide office, the majority in the legislature has been democratically controlled, and we're going down the tubes. So when I looked at the registration, I think last time it was about 14% spread between Democrats and Republicans. This time it's down between 6 and 2%. Is what I've been told.
And why do you think that is?
Because of what I just explained. People are mad. They see this great state, the most affluent state still in the union, the ideological leader of this country is going down the tubes. We're 50th in terms of being business friendly. I heard the other day we're 45th or 47th in the nation in education. Just on and on and on. And this is California. This is not, East Egypt, wherever. This is California. And as I said the last campaign cycle, so California goes, so goes the nation. We're either going to take it further down or we're going to bring it out. We're not going to bring it out with the people that are still in charge in Sacramento. We're not going to bring it out with those people. They're taxing us and regulating us to death. My message hasn't changed. It's the same. We have not done the things we need to do to keep our fiscal house in order and to bring this great state back to where it needs to be. And so in talking to Jim Brulte, the state party chair, Republican Party chair, and Leader Conway, they asked me to do it, and they made promises about helping me this time, and they have a real conviction that this is a winnable seat this time. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And so really, honestly, truly, I was not going to run up until the Sunday before. And my wife and I talked and made my decision, and so here I am.
Well, you said that your message has been the same. Tell us a little bit about you since you were here last time, which was,
okay.
a couple years, right?
Yeah, 12, 2012. Well, I ran in 8.
I didn't know you in 8, I don't think.
No.
I met you in, 11?
Probably.
10,
Yeah.
10 or 11.
10.
Let us check our calendars here.
But I ran the first two times in 8 and 10 against Kathleen Gaggiani. Very
right.
nice, very nice lady, now a senator. And I ran the last time against Adam. My background is I was raised in Tennessee, born in Mississippi, raised in Tennessee, and that's why I've got a perspective about California as an outsider that most native Californians don't know. I understand the leadership of this state and the effect that it has on the rest of the nation. The effect that it had on me growing up, where we took the California Achievement Test when I was in school in Tennessee. But anyway, I graduated from University of Tennessee in 80. Went to work as an accountant. I have a degree in accounting, and then had a desire to be in the military. I said I didn't want to get to be the age that I am now, and have never served. And so I left that. I had it set. I was with the largest CPA firm. If I had stayed, I'd have been a partner in one of the largest CPA firms in Tennessee or in the South. But excuse me. So I left and I joined the Air Force and to fly, and got commissioned and was active duty for 6 years, flying in KC-135s, air refueling. Ended up here at Castle as an instructor. Met my wife in church. We got married. Dragged her back to Tennessee for 2 years, where I was a commercial loan officer in a bank and flew for the Guard, the Air National Guard there. And she was missing her family, and I thought, well, all right, back we go to California. So in 1989, we came back to California, and she was an excellent teacher, is an excellent teacher, and so she was hired right away to teach. And I thought I'll go back into accounting or some kind of business or whatever. And so in my searching around, I kind of a win-win situation with a Southeast Asian congregation in my church. Excuse me. And they were dying on the vine because they didn't know the language, they didn't know the culture, and they wanted to work. They wanted to get off the welfare. That's what they called it. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do? Okay, long story short, I started a janitorial company. And I started hiring them pretty much right away. And fast forward 24 years later, we have 3 franchises in Merced, Madera, and Fresno counties. We employ about 100 people. Over the years, I've probably given 3,000 or more people a start. And a lot of my employees today are Southeast Asians, and just wonderful people. It's been a great ride. In April of '90, I bought the first franchise. Got hired to fly some more with the Air Force Reserve, which I wanted to do in June of '90. In August of '90, Saddam Hussein went across the border, and so I hadn't flown in about a year, and my third ride was my check ride, and we left Mather Air Force Base on our way to Saudi Arabia. We got called up, and so that was an exciting time. Shazam! I'm back in the saddle and off to war, and
Wow.
but I retired in 2003 as lieutenant colonel, and just still wanted. I've always had this political bug, and so I said, well, okay, now's the time, and so I started running in 2008.
Well, would you like a glass of water? Because I can ask them to bring.
No,
you
I'm
in.
fine. I'm fine.
Okay. The next question that I have for you is, how does your training as a pilot, kind of courage under fire almost, with your check ride there,
Yeah.
you know, how does that equate to serving the public? I mean, is there some kind of personality trait within that? Because I've known 2 or 3 people who have run for office who are pilots. Is that something that's in there also? And I want to talk about the business friendly, because you did start your own business, and that's up and running and has been for over 2 decades.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but tell me about being a pilot.
Well, it's even better than being a pilot. I was a navigator in the Air Force, so that's even better than being a pilot. So all the pilots out there are throwing their hands up in fits now. There's a running battle between pilots and navigators.
Well, I understand that with musicians too. There's
yeah.
the front row, there's the back row.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
understand.
But I'm a civilian pilot, but in the Air Force I was a navigator. It's just it's a mindset, I think. The Air Force is, of course, the military is all volunteer. So that was part of it. I think it's that kind of person. With the military, there's structure, there's a dedication to duty, service before self. Those kinds of attitudes, I think, spill over well into a life in politics. And there's, I think most people that are in the military, and they're aberrations, but most people in the military tend to be honest, forthright people that have definite opinions, and are not afraid of a good fight, and they can by and large articulate themselves well, and so I think all those things lend towards being a good candidate and a good office holder.
Tell me about the business friendly, and let's see how much time we have. Yeah, we've got enough time to talk about this, about starting your own business in a state that was business friendly 24 years ago,
Yeah.
and is not now.
But it's 24 years ago, one, I'd never run a business, and so I didn't know what the environment was like or really what to expect. I mean, it was all a big adventure, but it was certainly a lot different in terms of things like the workers' comp rates. Workers' comp has always been a big expense, but it was never like it is now. The employment rules, the work rules, the cap and trade legislation, the desire to now change Prop 13 to make it a 2-tiered thing so they can get more money from commercial property. Those kinds of things, and people have seen it happen over the years. More and more companies are leaving California. Toyota announced they're pulling out the other day. And it's discouraging to see how it affects places, especially like the Central Valley, which, we're not the Bay Area, we're not the Silicon Valley, we're not LA. We've got good people who want to work, and they want to work hard, and they want to earn their money, but these businesses are pulling out, and as they pull out, there's a spillover to the less prosperous communities. And Walmart, for gosh sakes, the environmental regulations. You got a handful of people in Merced that stopped the development and building of a Walmart distribution center that would have brought hundreds of jobs, paying $20 an hour plus benefits, and a handful of environmentalists stopped it for no good reason. That's the sort of thing. As a planning commissioner in Merced County, I've been doing that for over 10 years, and I see more and more restrictions on people being able to use their land as they want to use it. This whole eminent domain thing with the high-speed rail, for gosh sakes. I mean, it's just more and more you see government intrusion into your life, and the way that it impacts it, and it's no wonder people are leaving.
Speaking of eminent domain, and you brought up high-speed rail.
Boo.
Well, I have been to a few different states, and it seems like their transportation far exceeds that of Californians. It seems like we're still hobbled.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've gone to New York, and the subway system there is wonderful. Moves millions of people. Tell me what is wrong with high-speed rail as far as, don't we want to go from LA to Sacramento or LA to San Francisco?
Why in the world would I spend to take my family to Disney World? Why would I spend?
You mean Disneyland?
Yeah,
Disney World's in Florida.
Yeah, Disneyland.
I'm a Disney
aficionado.
Aficionado. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. My niece works down there, and
I need tickets. We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, I can hook you up.
Okay.
But why would I want to spend that much money to drag my family down there? And get down there, and now I don't have a car.
It's not going to be affordable on the high-speed rail?
No.
Why not?
Because, the Prop 1A deal says if they follow it, and they're not, but they say that it has to be self-supporting. It can't be subsidized by the government.
Now, I heard a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago, that every form of transportation, public transportation, is subsidized by some form of government.
Sure.
So is the high-speed rail, is the idea of that it's funded by a private entity or several private entities?
No, there haven't been any private investors step up. But the Prop 1A, the way that it's written, says that it has to be self-sustaining. It has to meet certain time requirements to go here and there, and it meets none of that. None of the provisions of the bond measure, the Prop 1A measure, is reflected in the current project.
Well, I heard that it's still going through, though. That people are still talking about getting it done.
Yeah, but it's not legal. It's like the guy that started or was instrumental in the Transcontinental Railroad back in the 1800s. He made a statement one time. He says if you drive the first spike, they can't stop it. And that's what these people are doing. They've spent $1 billion and they've accomplished absolutely
And then they
nothing.
charge by the mail. By the mile. So it goes.
Well,
so is it going to be straight?
No.
Is it going to go down through the Central Valley?
It's like people are getting in Merced are getting all excited and Twitter pated about the fact that there's going to be a repair station and there's going to be a station downtown Merced. That the projections of this train says there's going to be more people embark in the station in Merced every day than embark at Grand Central Station.
Oh, I doubt that. I really doubt that.
Well, yeah.
But
they were saying. I
was in Grand Central Station. I don't think there's that many people in Merced.
But they said. But anyway, this train is going to come in, and it's going to curve in from the west and curve down and kind of follow 99 a little bit there. But it's going to be down at the one where 152 comes into 99. Right? That's like 20-something miles from Merced. So
how are you going to get from Merced to there?
Yeah, they're going to build a spur from there 25, 30 miles to Castle Air Force Base to this repair facility. Merced's not even on the docket to be, eventually when it's all built out, they say that there'll be service from Sacramento through Merced down all the way down into LA. Well, the Merced station's not even supposed to be done until it's not even on the initial build out. It's like 30 years down the road.
I think the first leg is from Bakersfield to Fresno, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, nothing against Bakersfield or Fresno, but we can drive that in an hour and 20 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm
something.
saying. Why would I get on the train and pay a ticket price, which is probably going to be at least $75 one way if it's going to be
I like
a dime.
Amtrak, actually.
Amtrak's is fine.
Okay, I want to ask you a philosophical question here.
Okay.
Okay, we got high-speed rail. Let's just say there's going to be a huge hub in Merced.
Okay.
And Merced's going to be the next metropolis here in
Okay.
California, okay? And people are getting Twitter-pated, as you said, that this is going to take place.
Yeah.
I got to remember that word. Okay, so do you think that people have been purposely kept unemployed? In other words, there are farms that farmers are paid not to farm to keep
From
the
government subsidies and stuff.
to keep the balance. Do you think people have been kept either purposely or not, just through circumstances, kind of under this regime, so that when something does come along that offers 100 jobs or 50 jobs or even 20 jobs, as we have heard for some places in Modesto, people clamor to it because they're so desperate? Do you think that there's something greater than just an 18% unemployment rate in California?
I mean, do I think that somebody is out there pulling the strings, keeping jobs from being developed in Merced
Yes.
just for this? I don't think it's that diabolical. I think that they see the unemployment in Merced and they say, let's dangle this carrot and make this promise that these jobs are coming and to foment a an outpouring of support for the thing. I mean, there's a common theme there that, okay, yeah, we know it's not going to make any money. We know it's going to be bad for the farmers and all that, but it's coming. So we might as well make the most of it and have
Kinda
a station.
if you can't beat them,
Merced.
join them.
Yeah, I mean, in the air, in flying, if we lost all power on all engines and we were going to crash, then we would make a decision that, okay, we're going to crash. Let's hit the softest, cheapest thing as slowly as we can. We're going to crash, so we might as well make the most of it. Let's don't go high speed right smack down into the ground. Let's try and belly it in. But with this thing, that's kind of the attitude on some of the people that are in Merced. They're saying, okay, it's coming, so let's make the most of it. Well, no, it's not coming for 30 years, if ever, and I think it would be better if it doesn't come. We're not going to be able to afford it. It's going to be 125 or 50 billion dollars if it's a dime. It's not going to have the ridership. Amtrak's got a train on the East Coast, the Ocella line, I think it is, and great train. I guess it goes 100 and something miles an hour, and probably faster than this thing is. It's got through a population that's used to trains, used to that kind of transportation on the Eastern Corridor, going to New York, Washington, that area. It's been in existence now like 15 years, and I think its high ridership year was like 14 million people. I mean, they're right out of the gate, they were predicting like 40 million people, 42 million people would ride this train in the first year. I mean, you got to ask questions like, where's the electricity going to come from?
Well, my concern too is it going to tear up as much farmland as what I have heard? Because I looked at the documentation several years ago when people started really getting all excited about it, and it said, it's going to cut down through the Central Valley, and it's not going to cut into any farmland at all, per se. It's just going to go through here, and we're just going to mind our own business. And now I'm finding out that they have to have an easement on each side, and it is cutting through at least 5 different farms. And if that happens, what happens to the cattleman who has cattle on this side of the rail and this side of the rail? And
Well, is
it that?
I mean, it's even more insidious than
dire?
that. I mean, the guy that's got 2,000 acres of row crops, tomatoes, cotton, whatever it is, and this railroad is just going to nick his property. But as you said, it's like a half mile either side of the track. You can't spray.
Right.
So how's that going to
That's
work?
a half mile on each side is a lot of land.
And then how's the guy going to get a loan on his or her land?
Right.
I mean, what banker? I mean, they haven't
form.
laid a rail yet, but yet you're looking at a map and you're seeing this yellow line
Right.
going down through this guy's property. Are you going to loan him money?
Right.
No.
You ask the guy, do you or do you not have a high-speed rail going through your property?
Yeah.
And the possibility, that's the thing we hear a lot. Oh, it's not going to happen for 5 years. It's not going to happen for 30 years. Look how fast the last 30 years went.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's ridiculous. These guys, these farmers, these ranchers, yeah, they may be worth millions of dollars, but it's all tied up in land. It's all tied up in equipment. They may have $12 in their bank account.
Well, it doesn't have,
and that's their
it
retirement.
really doesn't have anything to do with money. It doesn't have anything to do with if this farmer is richer than this farmer, or this one has $1 million, this one has 100,000. It has to do with land use. And if it belongs to that farmer, why does somebody else think that they can come in and just slice his land in half? Is that why you're running?
That's one of the reasons.
I'm sorry, I kind of took a minute.
No, that's no. But no, that's one of the reasons. I mean, we're going to stab a knife in the economic heart of the valley, so that somebody from San Francisco can get to L.A. in 2 hours.
Take a plane.
Duh. I mean, if you took
Fly Southwest, it's like $59.
If you took the amount of money that they propose this thing, that the experts are saying, some people are saying up to $200 billion. If you took half of that money, if you took $50 billion, and you set it aside, I can go out and I'll buy brand new airplanes, Boeing 737-800s. I'll put a crew on there. I'll build runways, 4 or 5 runways. I'll buy the equipment to haul people from the airports or those runways to downtown, and I'll fly them for $25 a piece, round trip.
So why the push
and not
for
touch the principal?
So why do the high-speed rail? I mean, why is that being pushed? If you can do that for $50 billion, do we have idiots who are trying to get this done?
No, they're not idiots.
Then what's going on?
It's. I think it's control. I think it's environmental. Saying internal combustion engines are evil and we've got to change everything.
Put it all out there, Jack. You're running for office. I want to hear it.
I think it's all about control. I think it's all in all about more and more government intrusion into our lives, to where they want to control how we medicate ourselves, Obamacare, how we feed ourselves, how we house ourselves, all the land use restrictions, the wanting to stack and pack people now. And I think they want to control how we transport ourselves. And I think that's all part of that. Is it some kind of wild hair conspiracy theory? No, we've started this ball in this direction, and it's taking its logical course unless we stop and say, we're giving up our liberties, we're giving up what it means to be an American, we're giving up the Constitution. I mean, look what the president just did. I'm glad this soldier is coming back. But at what cost? And he did not follow the law. He didn't consult Congress, and he was by law required to consult Congress, and he didn't do it. So it's that ham-handed approach that's going on at all levels of government, that's stomping on the individual's rights and our individual liberties, and we have to stop it.
Tell me about when you went in and you pulled your papers and raised your right hand and took that oath. Mm-hmm. Tell me what that meant to you this time.
It meant the same to me as it did the other times. It meant that I was pledging I've got it all on the line. My business is on the line. My marriage is not on the line, thank God. It's like I feel like I just signed the Declaration of Independence. Our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors. I think that every office holder ought to have that sort of mentality. and we don't. We've got a bunch of people up there that they enjoy being called assemblyman or senator, and they will do whatever it takes to stay in office, and they can't do anything else on the outside.
Are you going to fight for it this time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to win. I mean, I want to represent the people of the 21st Assembly District in Sacramento.
But what are you going to do? Are you going to knock on doors?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to knock on doors. We're going to have signs. We're going to, kiss babies and shake hands. I think part of the problem last time was I had shake babies and kiss hands. That may have cost me a few votes, but yeah, I'm going to get out and meet the people. I mean, we're going to have opportunities to get to know me. I mean, I'll talk to anybody. And I'm not going to represent the hardcore conservative Republicans. I'm going to represent the citizens of the 21st Assembly District.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that.
I want to hear.
What are you going to fight for? Who are you going to fight for?
I'm going to fight for. What we have to do is we have to get some basic things done. We have to improve the business environment in California. We're losing too much stuff to Texas, to North Carolina, to my home state of Tennessee. We have to have those people see that it's economically makes sense to stay in California, that they can make a profit. They'll pay a premium to stay in California. I mean, for gosh sakes, this is California. You can ski and surf in the same day, but this is California. People will pay a premium, but we shouldn't necessarily charge them a premium.
Well, we don't want to have extortion going on either.
But at the same time, we're making them move. They're not choosing to move. We're making them move by the onerous regulations and ridiculous laws and ridiculous taxes that are coming down the pike. I mean, your gas tax is going to go up 15 cents in January.
So much for that road trip.
I mean, it's just every time you stink and turn around, somebody's got their hand in your pocket.
So what you said just a minute ago is what I've been wanting to hear from every single person that sits in that seat, and that is, you will fight for us.
Yes.
Once elected. You want our vote. You're shaking our hands. You're kissing our babies.
I want to be a public servant.
The next guest better be listening to that.
I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I mean, yeah, I own a business that generates millions of dollars in revenue, and I employ, a bunch of people. But I'm a janitor. I mean, when you get down to it, and I've been an Air Force officer. I've been a janitor, and pardon the illustration. I want to go to Sacramento and clean it up, and what better person to send out there than a janitor?
You know how to do it. Take your plunger. Hey, that'd be great on your flyer this time. Show yourself with a plunger in one hand and a roto-rooter in the other.
No, but I did that. I did it proudly. I mean, for when I started the business, it was me and myself and I and a vacuum cleaner and a mop and a toilet brush and
I'll tell you what, when those don't show up,
yeah,
people notice.
Yeah, they do.
And the voter base,
yeah,
we're noticing.
Yeah, but I've gotten to the point where I don't have to get out at night. I don't have to do that work anymore. I've got a few layers of management between me and the toilets at this point, and it's given me the opportunity, to do this and
move on to bigger toilets.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to talk to people.
This one seems to be going down the tubes quickly.
I know it does.
That's good. That's great.
But
the analogies that are running through my head right now.
Don't go there.
Yeah. Okay.
But in all seriousness, I've got the tools. I've got the financial skills. I've got the communication skills. I've got the desire, and I know that there's good people on both sides of the aisle, and I think that there's great Democrats that are just waiting to be able to cooperate. Mm-hmm. They know what we need to do. They know we need to cooperate. I'm under no illusions about the Republican Party coming in and taking over the state of California tomorrow. But I think that there's some great folks up there that have never run businesses. They've always been in public service, or they've always been in some sort of government service. They don't understand what it is to be all in. They don't understand what it is to lay in bed and stare at the ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I've got $5,000 in the bank and I got to kick a $40,000 payroll out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's because my customers are not making money to where they can pay my bills. I got plenty of receivables. I got receivables in spades, but the cash isn't coming in. So what am I going to do? They don't understand that. They don't understand that on payday, your check gets cashed last, many times, if it's cashed at all.
I like that.
They don't understand that sort of commitment.
You're the second person who I've talked to in the last about 4 weeks that have said that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've talked to some of those Democratic legislators and some of the Republican legislators, and they don't understand that. Mm-hmm. You look at $200 billion for this train. You look at how many billions of dollars to build these twin tunnels under the Delta to transport this water. It's not even going to make water. All it is just to transport water that we don't have. I told Adam Gray the other day, I said, it looks like your water bond may be a good deal. Good thinking. And he thanked me for that. I met him at the Patterson Apricot Festival. We talked for a little bit. But we should have been doing that 30 years ago. A legislator's job is to think years ahead. Mm-hmm. And what we've got now is we've got this knee-jerk reaction to current events, and try and solve these problems with legislation, when really I think the legislator's job is to think 20 years ahead, and anticipate what's going to happen. They knew people were coming to California. They knew what we were going to need in terms of infrastructure, water collection, water storage, all those kinds of things. When water is spilling over the top of the dam because we've got so much water, that's when you need to be thinking about building dams to store water for the droughts that are coming. Mm-hmm. That's why this rainy day fund that Governor Brown wants to institute. Okay, why didn't we do that years ago? If it's a good idea now, why weren't we doing it years ago?
I agree with the knee-jerk reaction, and not just as people who are running for office or legislatures, legislative bodies. We need to be thinking about that as voters too. Who we put into office tomorrow, literally tomorrow, will affect our life for the next 2 to 4 years, sometimes 10 years.
Well, and there needs to be a fundamental shift in thinking. And what is the purpose of government? Government is not there to keep.
This is only a 1 hour show.
I know. Government is not there to keep life from happening to us. Mm-hmm. But it seems as though that we've gotten to that point where, Obama's going to give me a phone. I don't have to worry about, having food to eat. And I think that there needs to be a safety net. I'm not pull all aid, all welfare programs. That's not me at all. I think there needs to be a definite safety net for people that need help on a temporary basis. But my gosh, I've got a friend that's got a car rental agency, and he says his biggest source of revenue is the EBT cards. And you just there's this is not a business where very rarely you're going to hit home runs. Mm-hmm. This is a business where you hit singles. And the changes that we need to make in California are many, but they're not huge changes. They're small tweaks here, small tweaks there. They're hiring competent people to count the numbers. You saw the $36 billion mistakes that were made in the budget that the treasurer found. It just we have to start, and it's going to take conscientious attention to detail, a commitment by the people that are doing it to do what is best for the long-term future of California. and that's what I want to do.
Tell us where we can find you. I'm sorry, but I have to say goodbye to you now.
Yeah, it's Mobley for Assembly, just on the Facebook.
Oh, you got a Facebook page?
Yeah, it's
Are you
coming
gonna
up.
be
It's
tweeting?
coming- I've only been a candidate now for a little over a week, so I'm not gonna start-
Are you on Twitter yet?
I'm tweeting.
Okay.
I've got an account, but I haven't tweeted a lot yet. But I'll
Okay.
start tweeting.
Okay, tweet.
Tweet.
Okay, so Jack Mobley.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
appreciate it.
Good luck
Thank you.
tomorrow.
All right.
Well, in November.
And
Good luck.
I'll be on the ballot in November.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay.